Hey everybody, welcome back for The Profit. We are season 4 now, episode 1. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Da, 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 da. Now, I don't know if this is The Profit. Let's hear this.
Well, it's somebody's profit.
I like the
But
screen.
It's good, though.
Yeah, keep letting that play. We said we'd roll with this.
It's like a little trucker.
It must be called The Profit.
Oh.
That's cool.
It's good, though. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
I like it.
Welcome,
It works.
welcome, everyone.
Welcome. We are back with we're season 4, episode 1, which is very, very exciting because we get to record not in retrospect now.
Right.
We get to go live with these episodes, which is really, really exciting. Yeah. Real time.
Woo.
And I'm Chris Howard, and you can reach me during this broadcast. I'm even going to put my phone right here. You can reach me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. Also, go to legendarylivingdaily.com for tips, motivation, inspiration, entrepreneurial information. You're going to love it. And legendarylivingtv.com for YouTube. And over here, we have the one, the only, the lovely
Katerina Cozias. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to you too, Chris.
Thank you.
I love being here on Tuesday nights with you.
Thank you. I know this is a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And for you at home, you can catch up with me after the show, after AfterBuzz, via my Twitter.
She's at the local bar. No. Sorry.
And that. Via my Twitter, it's Cozias Katerina. Now, it used to be Katerina Cozias. It's Cozias Katerina, so please note that change. Instagram is still Katerina Cozias. So in any variation of those two names, you'll find me.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one. So I'm lucky that I don't have one of those like Lisa Smith, Jane Doe type of names. So I'll take it.
Okay. Now, Katerina Cozias. Now, why did you change you put the last name first? Why'd you do that?
I had a Twitter issue. Twitter just stopped allowing me to tweet out.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I hit them up. I hit up their support team. I hit up every possible way to try to access them to say, hey, my account's busted.
Wow.
So I lost almost 4,000 followers.
My God.
I had to start from scratch. I have 150 friends right now.
Somebody
on Twitter.
help this girl. So here we are. We're taking up a campaign. We're raising friends for
like
Katerina.
my page because I feel like one of those people that just, what got out of bed this morning. And
it's totally like, you hear about people that get hit by the floods
Right.
or that have natural disasters and stuff. And this is
a Twitter
you look
catastrophe.
at Katerina, and this is just
My
as sad.
goodness.
This is equally as sad. No,
My
just kidding.
goodness.
But friend her because she needs it.
Please friend me.
Where do they go?
So they go to Cozias Katerina on Twitter.
Got it.
Yes, and you can also catch up with me via my website as well. It's called globalgab.com. That's global-gab. And I gab with you about a lot of the top trending international headlines.
We know.
So there was just a big earthquake. I don't know if you know that.
No.
About 30 minutes ago in Italy. 6.2 on the Richter scale.
Wow.
And I have a good buddy of mine. My buddy Billy's in Italy right now. So be safe, Billy.
Be safe, Billy. Yeah. And speaking of earth-shaking episodes, we've got here the first episode, season 4 of The Profit, and this is a whole lot of fun to be back for this. Once again, we get to do this live because we were recapping the shows after the fact
For season 3.
For season
Right.
3, yeah. So we were doing it in the middle of the day, but we were passionate about
Right.
it, so we came in, we recorded these things. Now we've got the episode that's happening. It's happened on the East Coast.
Right.
We're before the West Coast airing of this show.
So you can actually catch us as the pre-show, after show.
That's right. So our job is to get you very excited to go watch this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Or to give you post-commentary for those of you that have already seen it. So,
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, so Farrell's ice cream store. Did you know Farrell's when you were growing
Farrell's
up?
Ice Cream Parlor. Well, I'm not from California. Apparently, there's 5 Farrell's in California. I just got here 6 months ago, so
Okay.
so no. Although it seems like a great ice cream parlor, restaurant,
Farrell's
candy store. I would love to go.
Yeah, it was awesome. When I was growing up, I remember they had one in Palm Springs that I went to. That was the first one that I saw, and Farrell's is amazing. It's got its own culture, its own ambiance, its own flavor.
Kind of that
So-
old school. Well, they said I think it was founded in 1963.
Correct, by
it's been
Bob
around
Farrell.
for a
Was
long
his first name Bob? Bob Farrell did it.
Farrell.
Yeah, so that was quite some time ago. And so the store went They had at one point 180 different locations. They ended up closing them all down, and these guys reopened it. Which when I saw it, it's fascinating to me that somebody would want to breathe new life into it. And at first, I'm really excited, and I'm excited that Marcus is a part of it.
Yes.
How'd you feel about the?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you was because I know you're native here.
Yeah.
Did you get that feeling? Did you get taken back to your youth?
Totally. Yeah. For me, this is it's a great opportunity. It's a great iconic brand, and it's a great opportunity for Marcus to have in his portfolio. So I'm getting excited by how many companies he's got in this portfolio now, and he's he made a great deal here by bringing this on tonight, and he was able to whip the team into shape. Let's why don't we take it from the beginning of the episode?
Yeah, let's go.
So we come in. We start with Mike and Paul.
Yes.
So they're running the store. So Mike had launched this store. Paul was in charge of the operations.
COO, I would say, yeah. So Mike, CEO, and operations under Paul.
Did we get how much equity they each owned?
No,
or
I didn't catch that.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so not sure exactly how much they both own, and if they were full-on partners. It seemed to me that Mike was kind of running the show.
I think Mike had probably a bigger stake in it.
Right.
Yeah, he seemed like the boss.
Yeah, we got that. And he didn't seem very good at it either, did he? So they said right at the top of the episode that they had opened 7 locations, probably grew too fast, too soon. That's oftentimes a problem inside organizations like this, and especially in, I take it these weren't franchises, they were more, they were all owned.
Right, they were all owned, and one of the mistakes they made, I think, was the fact that they didn't, although they were separate stores, they were very distinct in look and feel.
Right.
And one of Marcus's points later in the episode, I'm jumping ahead, sorry folks, but is to kind of bring it back and give a common theme throughout.
And one of the problems they had, which we see time and time again with any of these organizations that roll out big, is that they roll out their dysfunction from the first location. So that was, they had a couple of them that were profitable. Actually, 3 that were profitable out of what was it?
Well, there's 5 existing now.
Yeah, it was
so
4 out of 7.
Right.
Tells us that they closed 2 down, right?
And they're still in the red with 2 out of the 5.
Well, I think they closed those 2 down. I think that's what. Let's
2 out of the 4 out of the 7, right?
Yeah, let me just see, because they might have. Okay. So they had Buena Park, Brea, Riverside, Rancho Cucamonga, and what was the last one? Do you remember?
Buena Park? No,
1, 2, 3,
I don't.
4, 5. Okay, so they had 5 there. I don't know why I got 7.
I don't know where you
front,
got 7 because I remember 5. 2 out of the 5 are losing money.
Maybe I just have this
Maybe
obsession with expansion.
Different candy store.
It could be. I'm just obsessed with expansion. That's the problem. But so were they, and so they found that they were not getting best practices into all the stores and rolled out correctly. So you've been in the business world for quite some time in the corporate world. Have you seen examples of that?
Yes, I think one of the biggest problems in managing a business is the management. If management isn't strong, you're not going to get the strength coming up the ranks very, very infrequently.
Right.
And I think Mike, for as much as his heart is in this business, he was ill-placed as CEO. He was unable to manage the business, the numbers, the people. And it's the 3 Ps that Marcus always talks about. People, product, and process.
Yeah. You were going to say performance or profits, and then we were all screwed up.
The wrong P. You
There's
said the
5
wrong P.
Ps. There's not 3 Ps. No. So what's interesting about this is, and what I found fascinating was when Marcus said, the job of the CEO is to be a coach, and you're not being a good coach.
No, he was throwing everyone under the bus.
Right.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. You were just a mean guy.
He had a sweet heart. You could tell that his heart was in the business, that he cared about the brand. You could even tell that he cared from a human perspective with Paul. I mean, they were, Paul was having a cry and Mike putting his arm around him. Yeah. You thought it was going to get a little weird, a little pornographic music coming out. No, there was no pornographic music. But you thought didn't you think, I found that a strange moment. I found it like...
Well, it was a strange moment because throughout the course of the episode, Mike kept throwing poor Paul under the bus.
Right.
Blaming him, when at every turn.
Paul just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the skills.
And then
he
at the end, he said to him, "You're my best buddy." And I'm thinking, well, that's how you treat your buddies?
Right, exactly.
But one of the taglines for this is lifetime memories are made. Farrell's is where lifetime memories are made. And I think Mike really wanted to give people that experience.
Yeah.
He just wasn't the right person to be in that position.
Well, that's the thing.
Power.
His heart was so
Yeah.
much in it, but he's just not a good
Right.
manager of people. He's which is fascinating, because one would think that it's the same skills that it takes to get the, he was able to elicit within the employees the singing and all of that to capture the ambiance and the spirit. He just wasn't able to translate that into a management style where he was able to do the exact same thing.
And I think you saw that reflected also in his choice of HR manager, who he subsequently put into the position of merchandising manager as well.
Boy.
So here you have a person that's running your merchandising, who's also running your HR, who really shouldn't be running either one, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't put that girl in charge of the candy store. Right?
Yeah, you were ill positioned, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, so and that's nice how you said it, ill positioned, because you don't come down on the person, you just say that maybe they're in the wrong place.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So in HR, maybe she's going to be fantastic. In running the candy store, she sucked.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And what was interesting was when she said, "That's my favorite thing to do." Just as Marcus is kicking her out of the candy store to give it over to Shauna. So yeah, he was giving it over to Shauna. Yeah. And Sandy says, "That's my favorite thing to do. It's not going to make me very happy." Have you ever been in a position like that? I know I have, from a management perspective,
Where
somebody's heart was in something, or they seemed attached to it, but they sucked at it, and then it's a weird and awkward space where a change has to be made, and if you let it be awkward, you might end up backing down from doing what you need to do.
Well, I think if you let it be awkward, you run the risk of lessening your efficiency.
Right.
And, it's detrimental to the business. So
Efficiency,
you have to be
effectiveness.
able to make those tough decisions as a manager, which clearly Marcus came in and did.
Right. So that's where wanting to be liked can get you into a lot of trouble. So, and they say it's much better to be respected than to be liked.
Well, and they also say it's lonely at the top, and that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be.
Because people go home and throw voodoo dolls at you.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, the reality is not everybody's going to like you. Actually, that was a huge learning from me and lesson on my life path and my path in business, is that not everybody's going to like you, and it's okay. Yeah. And if you rise to a high enough position, you're going to have 50% of the people that hate you. When you look at politics in modern day, or even you look at a Martin Luther King Jr., he had a lot of people that hated him, or even a Mother Teresa. She had her haters.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the respect, though, is necessary. I mean, it's great that they like you. The people seem to like Marcus, but I get the sense that they all respect him.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, that's fascinating for me. What else did we have here? We had. They went first to the Buena Park location, was their most successful location.
Right, and I think they were bringing in about $350,000 a month.
Well, yeah. What was fascinating? Here's where Marcus asked Paul. He said, "How much are you doing?" And they said, "Oh, we're at about $4 million."
Right.
And then Mike said, "No, we're not doing that much." And so there was some discord in terms of what they were really doing. And
well, and then that's the problem, though. You think the two people at the top of your business would know their general revenue number.
Yeah.
What's your revenue? What's your sales? What are your
They didn't seem to know
what's
the
your
business
profit margin?
very well.
I mean, they couldn't come up with any of those stats.
And you know what? To be fair, I mean, I've had times where I didn't know that stuff, and I've had to be schooled in becoming better and better at it. Sure. Right now, I'm doing an audit on my last business, going through the financials and
how's
stuff.
that?
Oh my God!
Are the gray hairs coming in?
Yeah, gray hairs and all sorts of stuff. It's crazy.
And I understand that. I can appreciate your point, but if you're Mike and Paul, and this has been your business for the last 10, 15 years, you would know by now.
But,
I mean, come on, that's inexcusable to me.
You would think so. Like in my last business, though, I really didn't know all the aspects of it. I mean, I didn't know the financial side because I had there was a head of finance. That's part of what got me into trouble too. So I had a head of finance that knew the financials while I was out delivering and selling. So everybody was in their roles.
Sure.
But yeah, it can get you in a lot of trouble if you're not aware of all the
if you're not at least on top of it.
If you have your finger on the pulse, right?
Now, that's a fine line, though, between trusting somebody and giving them autonomy.
Right.
The autonomy to run that portion of that division for you.
Right. Especially if it's because I had, in my situation, it was a business partner, and he was very bulldoggish about not giving it up. What I had to do that I did wrong was don't be bulldogged over. That's where you got to stand up and say, hey, this is my business. This is I am going to know these numbers. And
gotcha. So a learning lesson for you.
Yeah, a learning lesson for me. But when you see here, just for me, it's once again about being really clear about boundaries inside the workplace. So those relationships.
In terms of role definition?
Role definition, which we saw in this episode, there was, with Mike being, I mean, the whole thing became a game in redistribution of power and a redefinition of the roles. That's what I think essentially what Marcus really made it work in this episode was in, clearing up the issues between Shonda and Sandy. Between, or was it Shonda?
Yeah, Shonda and Sandy.
Shonda and Sandy. And also getting Mike out of Paul's hair and giving Mike a role that was really going to suit him, putting Sandy where she was going to be best. So there's just a whole cutting out new roles.
What I find fascinating is that Marcus comes in for, just a few days, assesses the business, does his due diligence, and he's able to pick this out like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And he's got a talent for that.
He really does. He does.
He's got an eye
for
for people in placement.
Now we're launching the new season here, Marcus. We need you on the show.
We would love to have you on the show, Marcus.
Yes.
If you're through LA, please hit us up because it would be fascinating to have you on here.
He is. Look at this. They were in Buena Park. They were in. So we know you're.
They're going to come back through here.
We know you're listening, Marcus. We know you hear us. You can't hide forever. Right. We want you on the show here to help with the big launch, and we'll promote you.
Yeah.
So reach out, touch someone. So here we let's see, what else did we have? So let's talk about the candy store a little bit. What were your thoughts about the candy store?
So the store, I mean, Farrell's, in my opinion, is sort of 3-in-1. It has the candy store element. People walk in, they get the candy store. They move into the ice cream parlor, and from the ice cream parlor, they move into the restaurant. So it's got sort of a 3-in-1 dinery style once they're in the restaurant.
But they hadn't captured that spirit, had they, previously?
It had been captured in 1963 with the original stores, but it wasn't captured with the relaunch.
Right.
Yeah.
So they didn't get the real essence.
They went very commercial when they should have kept it. I mean, they wanted to do an old school theme.
Right.
And they didn't stay true to that. And so they missed offering something unique to the customers, right? You could walk into a 7-Eleven and see half that candy.
Right. They missed the thematic branding
and the experiential feel that sets the tone for the ice cream parlor and the restaurant to come.
For sure. Now, what's interesting is when I remember the one that I went to in Palm Springs, we had...
How old were you?
Oh, gosh. I think I was 14 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, but when I was there... it was back in 1963, But when we went to Palm Springs, they did in fact have the beating of the drums and stuff, and I know that Marcus got down on that. That was part of it, but he was spot on in saying that it was a bit much. It was so much over the top that you'd probably not come back unless it was a birthday.
Sure, and I think now especially there's so much choice.
Right.
That you have to be very sensitive to making a lot of noise in a restaurant.
Right.
Even if it is a fun, loud restaurant.
Yep, I hear you. So I think that finding that middle ground was really important in terms of the singing and all of that. But then bringing in the whole experience, like you say, that candy, to walk through for a kid, it's like walking through Candyland. It's just this amazing, magical journey.
And I love candy stores. I mean, same as me. Same as me. When I was younger, there were a few candy stores that we would go to as it's almost an excursion.
Right.
And spend, a couple of hours going through everything. And it was great. It was fantastic.
For sure. Well, I think of Universal City Walk. Have you been up there and seen
No, I haven't done the touristy thing yet up there.
Oh, you got to go.
I really need to. I know.
Yeah, that's a must do.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And their candy store, when you walk in, it's just, it's much like what they ended up doing with Farrell's in this episode, how they redressed it. But you can go inside there, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of funky where they've got... they've got entire dresses that are made out of the candy,
right?
Yeah,
the necklaces. Remember those?
Yeah.
Those are great.
So you can buy an entire dress that looks very Miley Cyrus, but it's at the same time it's made of these.
And then you can go
candies.
chew on it at home.
You go chew on it at home. That's right. Take her home with you.
Right.
But they have a lot of those types of gimmicky type of things. They got the the big taffy, the bars of taffy that are like this long, massive, the big. You remember they used to have those big candies. What do they call them? Big Daddies that are like caramel and.
I don't know.
I'm sounding very Australian when I say caramel instead of caramel.
Caramel.
Yeah. But they've got all this big stuff, super big stuff. So big gummy bears like this, right?
Amazing.
So it's just fun. It's like you step into a different world.
Right.
And I think that's what they wanted to do with this in its own theme.
And that's what they did by the end of the episode.
Right.
To a degree. To a degree. I mean, not the way Universal does it, but for Farrell's.
But old-fashioned, I think, is the thing. And, like when you go to you go to candy stores?
Well, I mean, I I used to.
Do
I
you
haven't
used
been
to?
in one for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
What's your problem?
Where am I usually at instead? What's my problem? But no, it's been a while.
What's your
since I've been
favorite
to
candy at the candy store?
You know what? I like anything that's sweet and sour. So I like the sweet, like the sour pusses
Really?
and soury type stuff.
Sour pusses.
I'm not a sweets person.
Do you like hot tamales?
Yeah, I do like
Okay,
hot
I like
tamales.
hot
Yeah,
tamales.
yeah.
You know, when I go, like they've always got. What do I love? I love licorice laces, like
Okay.
red licorice laces.
Yeah, as long as assuming they're fresh.
Assuming
right, if
they're
they're not,
fresh.
you can knock it over your head and.
You know what? I kind of like those too. Those actually are nice because they got nice and hard, or you stick them in
Right.
the freezer, make them hard.
Totally.
But they've got lots of old-fashioned candies, but it's always the old-fashioned ones that I got when I was a kid that
Right.
are so they kind of hook you
remember.
in. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of what Marcus liked about this business was the nostalgia.
Exactly.
And
Thank
he came in, he looked around, and he said, "Okay, it's not jiving, but I believe in it. I will give you $750,000 for
$750.
51% of
Oh.
the business." What did you think of
We
that?
heard that. Yeah, I heard 51%, $750,000.
And we heard Paul and Mike cringe.
Yeah, and then he goes to commercial, and I'm like, and I looked at you and I said, "Would you do that? You know, would you give up 51%?"
Well, you'd be giving up 49, but you'd be giving up 51.
So you're
Yeah,
giving
you're
up
right.
controlling interest. Yeah, you're really good at math tonight. Yeah, it must be
That's
the red
my finance
lipstick. Must be the red
background.
lipstick you
The
put
red
on.
lipstick is throwing off my finance degree.
So 51%. That means you're giving up controlling interest of the entity.
Would you do it?
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends on what type of entrepreneur you are, and how much control you want to have. Obviously, because if you want to have,
I think these two gentlemen knew that their business was failing.
right.
And I think they also recognized the incredible opportunity that it would be to team up with Marcus.
For sure.
So with those two things to consider, I would have said yes.
Yeah,
I
and
would
they
have.
did, and they did.
And they
So if
did.
you were them, you'd do the same thing.
And I'd be in business with Marcus right
You'd
now.
in
And he'd be
business
on the
with
show.
Marcus. That's right. Well, he's coming on the show anyway. He's just playing hard to get. So yeah, 51%. I mean, it's a tough call, and I think they made the right move though for them because they were going to go down. They were losing ground fast. It seemed to me.
They had lost control.
Yeah, they had no cash. They had how much debt? It was like
About
two-
$1.9 million
Yeah,
of debt total.
Yeah,
debt.
shit.
So just under $2 million.
$1,940,000 in debt.
Yeah, just under $2 million in debt and no cash.
And
Zero
yeah,
cash.
no cash. So they grew way too fast. So Marcus takes the numbers. He goes away. He comes back with that $750,000 offer. Wanted 51%, and then he rolls out his change. He says Buena Park's going to be the template, and they close it down. Yeah, for the relaunch.
For the renovations.
For the renovations. And what did
you think of the renovations?
I loved what they did. I loved what I think you kind of got the same feel, or at least that's what I felt from you sitting next to you. Was that they did a really good job with this episode? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it kind of hit all sorts of different areas within the business to really effectively relaunch it.
Yes.
So I was really impressed. Yeah. What impressed you most? What in the terms of the changes?
I think the staff changes. We haven't touched on Travis yet. So
Oh, yes.
Travis is a missing one of the missing peas, one of the missing people. Travis had come in as a general manager of one of the stores, coming from a background with Hilton for a long time. Took a pay cut, almost a 50% pay cut, to come into this business because he loved it as a child.
Right.
So his heart was there, but he came with a lot of experience in managing frontline business.
Right.
And Marcus immediately recognized that.
Yeah.
And immediately moved Travis into a position of more power, making him general manager of all the stores.
Right.
And giving him a 5% equity stake in the business.
Yes. So that was the icing on the cake.
Right.
Or
But
the icing
I
on the
think-
ice cream in this case.
The icing on the ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I don't want you to think about ice cream for the rest of the episode
I
while we're
had
doing
ice
this.
cream today.
Did you really?
I did. I had to. So I become slightly pause.
You can't just pause the episode.
pause
You
the
can't
episode.
do that. Yeah.
I've become slightly addicted to McDonald's ice cream cones.
They're pretty good.
And it's just I'm in the car all the time, and so there's always McDonald's. And it's $1.10.
You can resist. You can overcome them.
can't.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
So can you imagine me and Farrell's now with real ice cream?
Okay, so we're back on air now?
Now, we're back
Okay,
in.
taking the pause off. Yeah. She said nothing about ice cream. You're not thinking about ice cream right now. You don't want to go to Farrell's right now. It's not on your mind.
What did you think of the fact that when Marcus first came in, Farrell's, once upon a time, used to have their own recipe for their ice cream. When they relaunched in modern day times, they went with a bought no-name brand.
Right, with Thrifty.
And Marcus wasn't too pleased to hear that.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you've got the recipes that are out there. This is your
proprietary brand.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. I love it when you put the right words in my mouth. Yes, the proprietary brand. And we need to recapture that. What I thought was brilliant, though, was and see, this is what he really does so well is...
Marcus?
Yeah, by taking them over to other organizations that are doing various aspects of the game, whatever their game is, and are doing it really, really well so that they get to expand their consciousness in terms of how do you operate a business effectively. So he brings them over to the ice cream place. What was that called? It was called We will find out. Fosselman's.
Fosselman's ice cream.
So he goes over to Fosselman's.
Now, Fosselman's is a warehouse that makes ice cream.
Yeah.
And they were willing to revise the original recipe for them.
Exactly. So the deal that they had with Thrifty Ice Cream was a tub of ice cream was $17.50. So there was nothing special about the ice cream, and which was in stark contrast to when Bob Farrell had launched it previously. So they were paying $17.50. They were going to pay $30 a tub, but what they found out was fascinating. I'm going to let you reveal it because you look so fascinated by it.
Well, you know, I can speak to this. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Okay, so
because you're cold.
Because I come from a cold weather place. That's right. So I'm going to bring my Canadianism into this. The ice cream. Go for it, eh? The ice cream, they found out, should be kept at 0 degrees.
Right.
The people at Farrell's were keeping it 10 degrees warmer than the proper temperature that ice cream should be kept at.
They were serving it hot.
What that means is that they were losing 20 scoops per barrel. Instead of 60 scoops per barrel at the right temperature, they were only getting 40 scoops per barrel because it was soggy ice cream and it was losing its density.
Right.
And so they were losing quite a bit of money per tub simply because of the temperature the ice cream was being kept at.
Which was fascinating. And this is, so Fosselman's was going to charge them $30 per tub with the proprietary recipes. They're going to make Farrell's original recipes, charge them $30 instead of $17.50, but they were going to make as much money. It was going to work out as a wash.
Right, because the temperature was fixed, the temperature issue.
How fascinating is that?
Yeah, so anyone that's at home, make sure your freezer is at 0
is this
and
really
not
valid
10
for home ice cream.
Well, you know, it must be.
Really?
No, I think this might be an ice cream law.
Wow.
Ice cream temperature law. We're gonna have to look into this. If anyone at home knows anything about ice cream temperature, let us know.
Yeah, just put a hashtag on it, right? Hashtag ice cream, and let us know about ice cream. Well, see, the thing is, it's not going to break the bank for you to pay a little bit more per tub of ice cream, but it's going to break the bank for them because they're doing it professionally.
You know, I think...
but who knows? You could be a professional. I don't know how much of this soft serve stuff you've really been eating. Do tell.
Been eating a lot, people. I've been eating a lot. Would you pay the few extra cents for the proprietary ice cream?
Absolutely. I think that's mission critical because the product has to be...
Now, see, I disagree with you.
Really?
And I'll tell you why.
Because you like soft serve.
Well, no. Well, yes, that's true. But if I'm at Farrell's and I've just had a big meal with my 10 friends because I'm having my birthday party there and I'm 6 years old.
Yes.
Am I really going to know whether the sundae that
This is all a real scenario, by the way.
Am I really going to recognize that the ice cream sundae that comes to my table, that's underneath the bananas and the sauces and the whipped cream, is special or not?
If you're 6 years old, you don't... I mean, you're going to notice it if it tastes like shit. It's
okay. Well, I'm not saying serve shitty ice cream, but I am saying...
But that's the difference in quality. I mean, it's like a good wine versus a table wine, like an average table wine.
And I can't drink table wine.
Yeah,
no.
There's a huge difference. And it's I mean, when you have something incredible, it's incredible, and it's just a few more cents to capture.
Standards.
Yeah, raise your standards. Yes. This episode could be speaking about so many other things as well. Just raise your standards, right? Be like Farrell's. So they went to get the better ice cream. I think that's one of the. I mean, that's so mission critical, and people aren't going to notice the difference in cost for a few cents more.
Right.
And it's not going to cost them a few cents more. But even if it did.
But again, this was a big fail, in my opinion, on Mike and Paul's part, because you're in the business of ice cream. You have an ice cream parlor. this is something pretty basic you should know. What temperature should I be storing this at to maximize my profit?
But remember,
What's the point
neither of them
being
were in the
business?
business when they came in, so they were coming in without the industry-specific knowledge. But I understand how they got to where they were.
Okay.
And I think that's
failing at 50% of their stores.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Almost.
almost. They had
40%.
3, yeah, so they're doing a little better than that.
Okay.
But they had no cash and they had a whole lot of debt. So
Right.
to your point,
Yeah.
But I understand how they got to where they did. I understand why they would make the decision to
Now-
go with the cheaper ice cream. I understand that. But when Marcus comes in, you also get why he's able to hone in on those things. And unfortunately, whenever you hire a consultant, it's always easy to backseat drive. It's always easy, and I'm not saying Marcus's job is easy because he does it extremely well.
Sure.
But anybody can come in and go, hey, you look at where you're fucking that up, or look at where that's not going for you, or look at
Well,
where
you know where else? What else wasn't going for them was their food costs. So they had a middleman who was negotiating their food purchasing costs.
Yes.
Marcus went in, eliminated the middleman, went directly to the distributor, and negotiated a $320,000 savings annually on the cost of the food.
8%.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money, because if most businesses, if one would consider your business to be doing really well, if it had a 20 to 30% profit margin, at the end of the day, if you had a 30% profit margin, you go, okay, that's a pretty
I got up in the
profitable
morning.
business.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you're
okay.
making more than you'd make
Right.
in a stock market, and you're making more than so.
Yeah.
With that, you look at it, and what the hell was I just saying before that?
Sorry, we were talking. We're all stuck on the ice cream.
On the ice cream. Oh no, we were talking about the food costs. But
Right.
then you look at it and you go, 8% saved is huge.
8% saved is a lot of money.
And I think that a lot of business owners don't get that little incremental changes that can make all the difference in the world. And we see Marcus does understand
Yes.
that, eking out those extra points.
And another thing he eked out, the menu, when he walked in there the first day, had 100 items to choose from.
I know exactly what that's like. I was in Sydney, Australia last week, and I went into a restaurant, and I swear to God, they had a menu with 100 items, and I just looked at it and I glazed over. And then I looked at it again, and I glazed over again,
It's just too much, right? You
Yes.
don't want to read
How
an
do you-
encyclopedia for dinner.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you?
And it's funny because his recommendation was scale it down to 20 items. And if you think about it, 20 items is still a big choice.
It is. And what was interesting is, once again, he brought the way they got to that was by going to Mel's Diner up in Universal City Walk.
Yeah.
And the chef who was in charge of I think he was in charge of the ambiance for that
Right,
whole area
yeah.
or something. So he said that you want to get it down to 20 food items because you could have 50 and do them half-assed,
Right.
or have 20 that you really nail.
That are, and people remember and they want to go back for the good food. Now, are you good at making menu choices? Are you quick or do you take your time?
I go back and forth. When I have 100 items in front of me, it's very, very difficult for me. But how about you?
I'm quick. Like, I'll be like, okay, scan it.
Give me that. Okay.
My sister will
Yeah.
look at the menu for 35 minutes and maybe the chicken, or
Yeah.
maybe I should get the salad, or maybe I should just pick something because I gotta go.
And this is where they say time is relative, the theory of relativity. That's where
right.
if you're sitting at the table with the person who's taking 30 minutes,
I've already left.
Yeah.
I'm at McDonald's with my ice cream.
So what was fascinating to me is that Marcus made the point of saying, and I don't know if it was just kind of a throwaway point, but he said if there's 20 items on the menu, people are going to take less time to decide, which means ultimately your tables will turn faster, which means more profit.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of sense to that.
I guess so. At first I thought, well, that's just kind of a throwaway thing. It can't be that much more profit. Although,
But you know what? If you incrementally add up those 7 minutes per
Yeah,
table
yeah.
that they may be sitting there analyzing the menu,
it's like when they say, watch
Sure.
the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. And it's, there is something real about that. And I just went back to being in Australia last week and looking at this menu, and it did take me 20 minutes before I made a decision.
and it probably made you anxious.
It did.
A little
It did.
bit.
I
It
was
would've made
I was
me
hungry. I
anxious.
wanted to eat something, but I couldn't freaking decide. And I ended up getting a bunless burger. Because then you get the protein of the burger, and you don't have to eat the bun and get all that
Right. Was
crap.
it- was it a good
It
bunless
was
burger?
a very good bunless burger. And
Okay.
then I went to another restaurant in the same chain to meet up with somebody for lunch,
Yeah.
kind of an acquaintance. And same thing. They had the bunless burger. I went right to it.
All right. So you
first
were happy
time-
with that bunless burger.
Yeah. Once I got it, I knew it was good. Yeah. So let's see here. So let's talk about Mike and his dynamic with Paul a little bit. What did you think about that one?
I think they, again, both have their hearts in the right place.
Yeah.
My problem with Mike is that any time Marcus pointed out something that was wrong or that could have been done better,
Right.
Mike would point the finger at Paul. So Mike didn't take any ownership in any of the failings of the business.
Did there seem to be even one
No.
that he took ownership?
No.
Every single one
And
went
if it
back
wasn't,
to Paul,
if he wasn't pointing the finger at Paul, he was pointing the finger at Sandy. If he wasn't pointing the finger at Sandy, he was pointing the finger at Shauna. You're the CEO, so ultimately, in my opinion, you know, the buck stops with you.
What a trippy thing. And then when Marcus said, "What's that all about?" And Mike said, "Oh, I guess it's an insecurity thing." And at least he was aware enough to recognize it.
At least he owned it at the end.
Yeah, because he probably didn't even recognize it without it being put in his face, without Marcus putting it in his face.
I don't think he did recognize it without being called on it.
But he owned it.
But I think he seemed much happier
Right.
in the new role that Marcus moved him to, which was taking him away from being CEO
Yes.
and moving him to brand.
Selling the brand.
Rep-
You're going to be all about the
brand
brand. That
guy.
kind of means you don't have a job because we can't trust you. We're going to put you over here in brand. No, just kidding.
No.
I actually mean it, but you know what's interesting, and this is a dynamic that I think we can explore, is this whole blame dynamic inside of business. And if you get into that blaming, that dynamic is going to prevent you from ever getting your business right. If it's always this person's fault or that person's fault, and you've always got the finger pointing out someplace else. We've heard before that whenever there's one finger pointing out, there's always three pointing back at us, right? So until we take responsibility for what's happening there, then we can't get the learnings we need to change the situation and create something different. So they were in a I like to call it a fucked up place. That means
How do you really feel?
Yeah, how do you really feel?
How do you really
They were
feel?
in a very stuck place that if they didn't have Marcus come in, what do you think they would have ended up? Honestly,
This whole thing was failing.
it was headed on a trajectory that was very bad.
It really was. They
Yeah.
were at their wits' end. I think they were very lucky to get Marcus in there when they did.
Yeah.
Because I think even 6 months down the road,
It wasn't going to make it.
No.
That type of
But that comes back to character for me, though.
How so?
In terms of having, bluntly, having the balls to acknowledge when you have fucked up.
right.
Right? So the fact that, if I make a mistake, I really think I have the integrity to say, hey, I made a mistake.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I just found it was a little bit shady on Mike's part that he wasn't owning any of it.
Well, some of it, and once again, I kind of put myself in his position, and I get it. I think it's a weakness of character rather than, and so you could look at it like being a character defect
Sure,
rather than.
okay, well.
But to your point, I think it's a weakness of character that, and this is not throwing it on him. I have plenty of my own character weaknesses.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, but it's a weakness
You have
of
a
character.
lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for. Yeah. But it's a weakness of character, which if he doesn't move through that, he will never ever be able to manage his
Do
relationships.
you think he
well.
learned a lesson here?
I think that Marcus had to get him out of the position more than teaching him a lesson at that point. So whether he learned the lesson or not still remains to be seen. But at least Marcus cleared up the problem.
Right, okay.
What do you think?
Yes, no, I agree. I agree, yeah.
So we have so that dynamic was cleaned up. What about the dynamic between Sandy and
Sandy and Shauna.
Shauna? Yeah.
So Sandy and Shauna. Sandy was the director of marketing,
Oh, Sandy, baby.
and Shauna was the HR merchandising candy store woman.
Yes.
They did not like each other.
Right.
It was very evident to me, and it was very evident to
Now,
Marcus.
Shauna was the daughter of Mike.
Sandy.
Yes.
Shauna was the daughter of Mike, right?
And Seth
Yes.
begat Abel, and Abel begat Sandy.
Right.
Shauna was the daughter of Mike, yes.
And then David came in.
And then David came in, yes, and slew them all. So they didn't like each
They
other.
didn't like each other. The Shauna, the daughter of Mike, who
Right.
was the marketing director, actually was very good at her job, but kept running into a roadblock because she was subordinate to Sandy.
Right.
And Sandy was old school, didn't want to change anything, didn't want to listen to new ideas, didn't want to hear about creativity, and it was to the detriment of the store.
Right.
And so Marcus came in, recognized this, and said, wait a minute here. Sandy, we're going to move you away from the store. We're going to promote it to a degree Shauna and give her 100% ownership of marketing.
Right.
Leave her the store and move these women apart from each other, which I think made both of them happier.
Get the women apart from each
right?
other. Stop the
Move
cat fighting.
them
Yeah.
apart.
So yeah, and
it worked.
It did work.
Yeah.
It worked miraculously even. But then once again, you get to the people issues and how the people issues in business can be so. They can either
Well, it's
they can
workplace
either
politics.
they can either pull you down and spiral you downward to greater depths of despair and the business falling apart. It's like a whirlpool, like a boat. Whew, if you need a visual image, you're sucking it down to the bottom of the sea. Or it can, if you got your people issues working, you can perform at high levels.
Yes.
So the dynamic there, though, of first there was Shauna not being able to make her own calls.
That has to be frustrating.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
Because if you want to make changes and you want to, you're given a title that you can't act on.
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah.
And then you come to work and you're not motivated.
Yep.
And you're annoyed and you're angry and you're projecting all of this negativity. You're right. It brings the whole thing into that.
So when they've got the
cesspool.
title but not the power.
Right.
Right. And then there was, what did you feel about Shauna? And you used the term that was so well put, having the balls. What do you think about Shauna having the balls? See, this is a nighttime show. We were at 4 p.m. before. Now we're at 7.
And we're on the internet. We can say what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that nice? But about Shauna having the balls to step up and really kind of delineate and set some boundaries herself in terms of where she was going to operate and how she was going to do it. Do you feel that she had a personality?
I think she was just
deficiency
no. I think she's just young.
Just young.
Yeah, I think if we gave her another 5 years, she would have had the confidence
Right.
to stand her ground.
Well, and there was also the fact to that point. Also, Sandy was in charge of her.
Right.
Which was weird. That was weird. Why would you put the head of HR in charge of the head of marketing?
Right.
That made no sense.
No, and it stifled the business.
Right.
Yeah.
And the candy shop sucked. The candy shop was doing.
But sorry, go ahead. I interrupted
No,
you.
you go.
I was going to say what killed me was the fact that Sandy, who was the candy store woman,
Right.
Just refused to recognize that there needed a change to be made.
It was weird.
She refused.
It was weird, wasn't it?
She just was like, no, it's fine. It's
was
fine. It's fine.
strange.
I'm thinking.
It was
So-
like one of those horror movies where
Right.
the aliens come and take over your body and.
That's
maybe-
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is they were making $6,000 a month in
Right.
sales.
It was $2,000 from the candy. But I have to say, $2,000 for the candy and $4,000 from
the ice cream parlor?
No, it was $4,000 from. I think just kind of souvenir type stuff.
Okay.
But that's ridiculous.
Ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because candy is a high margin
Exactly.
item.
Yeah, and you
too.
would think they should be. You'd want to be moving so much candy through that place. You'd want everybody that walked in to walk out with a basket like they
Right.
were putting at the end to walk out. That you want them.
Right.
There shouldn't be a table that walks out without buying some candy.
Right, absolutely.
And you'd think that they'd have marketing happening to fire that up, where get your bag of candy right now, get 20%
Right,
off
buy
on
one
the
for
table.
your friend,
Buy one for a
right?
friend. Get your candy monthly. We're going to
Right.
send you a monthly package, from Farrell's. I don't know, but you'd think that they'd be moving that like crazy, and that was really a stuck point when they came in. Yeah. We get about 5 minutes left. What do you
right.
think we should cover here in the final 5 minutes?
Takeaways. I mean, my takeaway
Yeah.
would be to really make sure you have the right people in the right positions.
Right.
That's very key. And I think also when you're operating multiple stores, figure out what your weakest link is and how best to attack that. It's like a chain, right? Where they say your weakest link is your weakest
Is
link.
your weakest link. Yeah. Chain's
So
only as strong as the
profound
weakest
tonight.
link. Yeah, that is pretty
That's so
profound.
profound.
So please write that down. # your weakest link is your weakest link. And
But that for me was, identify what is failing.
Right.
Figure out what you need to do to make it not fail.
see, I was reminded of Jack Welch from GE when he said that his job was to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, and he would look at any place where any kind of territory where they weren't number 1 or number 2 in their marketplace should just be closed.
Wow.
And that was the first thing that I thought when we heard about the 5 stores. It wasn't 7, it was actually 5.
Okay.
There were actually 11 commandments. It wasn't 10, actually 11, but Moses broke that plate, right? No, so there were. So when we heard about those and we heard that 2 were doing so poorly and the rest were subsidizing them, it was like,
Well, they ended up at 0. right? Because they were taking the profits from the one store to feed the failing store and ending up really, what's the point?
So why would you do it? Yeah, so yeah, exactly. So if Buena Park is keeping Rancho Cucamonga open, why? What's the point? So my first thought was, okay, get rid of those two and focus on the others, but which they ended up coming around to in the end anyway. And Travis, my man, here, high five to Travis.
High five, Travis.
High five, Travis. Travis was the one to call it. Which was fascinating.
Yes.
And, you know, Marcus knew it in advance. You knew he knew it.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating that he called Travis in and got Travis to be the one who said it.
Now, Travis was the youngest, newest, most, in theory, inexperienced under Paul and Mike.
Right.
And yet Travis is well aware of what needs to be done to save this business.
Yeah.
So.
And so I think the highlight and the spotlight went on Travis, and appropriately so. Marcus effectively resituated everything, got the right people in the right roles, right people on the bus. Wrong people off of the bus in terms of where they were located and what their jobs were. And, you know, I thought it was a fantastic first episode.
I thought it was a great first episode.
Yes.
It had all of the elements that make a good profit episode.
Absolutely. And you know, this season for us here on AfterBuzz, we're going to be bringing, we got 2 minutes to wrap here, but what I want to say is we're going to be bringing, we want the business owners to come on. Because,
we would love anyone that's California based. We'd love to have you on here because we would love to chat with you about your experience with Marcus.
Absolutely.
And the changes that he's made in your business.
Yes,
so
and we're going to use you for leverage to get Marcus on the show too. And we can, even if you're not California based, we can Skype you in. So feel free to reach out to us. And I think with that, we'll close it off. Where can people find you, Katerina?
All right. So I'm confused as to where you can find me. On Twitter at Cozias Katerina, on Instagram at Katerina Cozias. I'm happy to gab with you anytime.
She is. She likes to gab. I'm Chris Howard. You can reach me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. Also go to legendarylivingdaily.com. Download that. It's daily motivation, inspiration, entrepreneurial tips, and legendarylivingtv.com for YouTube. And with that, from AfterBuzz TV, make sure to give us 5 stars here.
5 stars. Thumbs up.
Sign up for the iTunes downloads, and make sure that you check us out every week right here. Right, 7 o'clock each night, right? Or
see you 7 o'clock Pacific.
7 o'clock
on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays. Good night.
See you there.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.